Sup, Captain Gender here, and today I wanted to share with you all some important terminology when talking about gender. Consider this a glossary before we have an in-depth conversations, just to make sure we're in the same page. Of course, this is still a channel about comic books, so I'll be using characters to exemplify the concepts. I'll be covering a lot of terms, so I'll try to be as clear as possible. Without further delay, let's talk comics and gender. Firstly, it is important to understand the difference between biological sex, gender identity, gender expression, and sexual orientation. The easiest one to understand is sex, because, for the human race, it is mostly a clean cut between two categories. Usually, you're either born with XY chromosomes and male genitalia, or you're born with XX chromosomes and female genitalia. Now, I said mostly a few moments ago because sometimes it isn't as easy, and this is when the term intersex comes in. As the Intersex Society of North America puts it, it is an umbrella term for various conditions in which a person is born with a reproductive or sexual anatomy that doesn't seem to fit the typical definitions of female or male. For example, a person might be born appearing to be female on the outside, but having mostly male typical anatomy on the inside. It is estimated that 1.7% of the global population is intersex in one way or another, but in the comic book industry that figure is even smaller. To date, Marvel doesn't have any officially intersex characters, while DC only has two. The first of them was the New 52 version of Shining Knight, who was outed on the 12th issue of that run. The second term we'll be exploring is gender. According to the LGBT Resource Center of the University of California, San Francisco, gender is a set of social, psychological, and emotional traits, often influenced by societal expectations, which is used to classify a person as a man, woman, or some other identity. Now, many of you may be freaking out with the last part of some other identity, but truth be told, gender is not as firm as we tend to think. Unlike biological sex, gender is a social construct that varies with time and space, and from culture to culture. Gender shouldn't be seen as black or white, but as a spectrum. For example, Snowflake, one of Marvel's newest heroes, is neither a man nor a woman, but a non-binary individual. There are even gender-fluid people who constantly hop from one gender to another one, just like Loki. Gender has a strong correlation with two other terms. Gender identity refers to the way an individual sees themselves and their gender. For example, Thor knows he's a man. On the other hand, gender expression talks about how an individual lets others know about their gender, be it through the way one speaks, dresses, interacts with others, or addresses themselves. Using the same example, Thor uses he/him pronouns, loves to flex his muscles, and does other things usually seen as manly. Sometimes, the gender expression of an individual doesn't align with their gender identity, but that doesn't invalidate it. For instance, in the CW Batwoman TV series, Ruby Rose rocks a pixie hairstyle, but that doesn't change the fact that her character, Kate Kane, sees herself as a woman, and Deadpool sure knows how to ride a unicorn without being any less of a man. It is important to note that non-binary does not equal trans. Trans people are those whose gender identity is different from the one which was assigned to them at birth, aka what the doctor said they were because of their genitalia. Lots of trans people identify themselves with a binary gender. For example, Alicia Gio, who was Batgirl's roomie in The New 52, is a trans woman, meaning she was assigned male at birth but identifies as a woman. Finally, sexual orientation refers to the type of people someone is attracted to. There are so many different classifications of orientation, I had to decide on just a few of them to talk about. The first one is heterosexual, which I think you all know. People, such as Spider-Man, who are attracted to people with a gender different from theirs. Then there are homosexuals, who love people of their own gender. For example, Wiccan is gay and Batwoman is lesbian. Bisexuals are people attracted to those who have either their same gender or a different one, just like Harley Quinn. Lastly, pansexuals like Deadpool love people regardless of their gender. And no, they aren't attracted to pants. But I'm sure they'll agree that pancakes are really yummy. I also wanted to highlight that not all people feel romantic and or sexual attraction, falling somewhere within the ace spectrum. An example of this is Tremor, who is one of the members of This Is the Movement. In the 10th issue of the namesake title, she revealed she was asexual. After this wild ride of Gender Studies 101, we've completed a basic glossary. Congrats! Let me know if you've got any doubts, and be sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. See you next time. Cap Gender out!